Hi there! Welcome and welcome back to the Whole Bucket and to week 4 of Zebra Talks. So I already filmed, at least a little bit of an intro to today's video and had a little bit of a problem, so I'm starting over. And the only thing that really matters is that I've put a few circles on my Zentangle page for today. None of the rest is consequential. So today we're going to talk about defining what kind of zebra we are. The reason for doing that is partly for fun, because it could just be silly and put a lighthearted spin on some fairly serious medical stuff, right? And partly because it's good to have a succinct kind of idea behind what you're dealing with. And if you don't have that already, maybe this will help. Maybe you want to get there. So in earlier weeks of Zebra Talks, we talked about our early days, whatever your experience is prior to working on this workshop with me. Who are you right now? Some things that make up your character. Certainly not everything, right? We're complex human beings, but just some things, just to get your brain in kind of what makes you who you are. We talked about how do you feel about yourself today, and I listed a lot of really kind of ugly stuff. I haven't been feeling great in the mood and thoughts realm lately. And I used a Sharpie where I shouldn't have. So I had to glue a piece of paper over the Sharpie leak through. It's okay. Yeah. It'll be all right. So I glued a piece of paper right here because there was too much Sharpie leak through. And we're going to work today on what kind of zebra are you. If you're not entirely sure what it means to be a zebra, here's the thing. Any illness or condition that is out of the ordinary in a way or in and of itself. Meaning you could have a really ordinary thing, but for whatever reason, your bit of it is not the usual, okay? Or you could have something that is not a usual sort of health condition. For me, I am a zebra because I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and I am an alien zebra because my body seems to hate this planet and everything in it. I am not technically allergic to anything that we found, and I have been tested for thousands, literally, of things. And even though I'm not allergic to anything, I can still have allergic reactions or allergic-like reactions that can even go to life-threatening, but are certainly life-altering at any given time. For just cause it can from the sun or the wind, or one of the big ones is scents, right? And not all of them affect me, but sometimes little old ladies will walk past me in the grocery store and I will swell up like a balloon and I can't see and I can't breathe and I need medicine right away. It gets pretty ridiculous. So I have decided that the reason my body hates this planet so much and tries to kill me on a regular basis, okay, that's a little exaggeration, but not all the way exaggeration. Anyway, I have decided that the reason that happens to me is because my family tree must have ancient alien genes And all those genes from a long, long time ago apparently made it to me and decided to come to the forefront in me. And my alien genes don't want to be here. They want to go home. So, there's actually a really cool story that goes along with that, but I won't get into that story today. And I always get it wrong anyway, but it's a really cool story. In any case, if you've ever watched Ancient Aliens, you know, some people think that aliens might have been here at some point or another. And I'm thinking, you know, maybe they left a friend behind, or maybe they had some special relationships when they were here. And here I am, and my body's mad. Yep. Anyway, so you do not have to put such a funny, silly name on what kind of zebra you are. But defining things for yourself can be helpful. I am going to do a little bit of thinking about how I want to define what kind of zebra I am past the alien zebra comedy part, because I'd like to get a little bit more of an actual definition of my zebra-ness, and to help you further think about how you can define what kind of zebra you are. While I'm thinking that over and talking that over, let's work on today's Zentangle, because it helps me a lot. I don't know if you're doing it with me. If you are, please say so in the comments, and tell me if it's helping you. But it helps me turn off the day and turn on the thought processes. Today, I really need it. So I just started making some circles in kind of a zigzag pattern around this big open space on my page. So if you picture a frame sort of around here, I'm sort of making these little circles. I started here, zigzag, in and out of this space. And I'm making some really little and some bigger. That looks like that's the biggest one so far. And I'll put one little tiny one right there. Sure, why not? When you're done putting your zigzags, you're going to pick any two to start on, and we're going to connect them with S shapes. So here's what I mean by that. I'm going to pick this big fat one right here and this little one in the corner, and I'm going to connect them with an S shape. So I'm going to go over the top of this circle and curve around and join up with the bottom of the next circle. And then I'm going to do that again on the same pair, only watch this. Okay, so I'm just going to start at the top, make an S, but it's a little bit inside the other S. So it mirrors it. There we go. You know what? I need to get my glasses on. I can't really see what I'm doing very well. Oh, there's my paper. Look at that. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing all the way around this frame of zigzaggy circles. So follow along with me and let's chat about how to define what kind of zebra we are. So yes, I am an alien zebra, and I think that's a fine definition, but is it complete is kind of my question. And I don't know. I mean, the alien part certainly isn't accurate, right? It's just a funny way of referring to part of my experience. I'm trying to avoid putting the mental health part in there. So I have 2 mental health diagnoses. One of them being, is it severe depressive disorder? I have a depressive disorder. Well, I mean, could you tell? Remember last week? Yeah, still there, mostly. I have a depressive disorder, and I deal with that. I also have post-traumatic stress disorder, and I deal with that. Those are the two diagnoses in the mental health department. And why do I try not to put those in there? Because I really should, right? They're diagnoses and they're chronic conditions and they affect everything. So here's the struggle I'm having. They should go in my definition of my zebrahood. Depressive disorder and post-traumatic stress are not completely unique in the mental health department, so maybe they're not zebrahood, but obviously any mental health condition is unique to the person who has it. Your triggers are unique, your ups and downs are unique, whatever. So it has some zebra qualities to it. In those regards, I should put it in the definition somehow of what kind of zebra I am. When I think about it a little differently, though, I think about how everybody, chronic health, not chronic health, mental health diagnoses, not mental health diagnosis, should care about and take care of their mental health situation. Just regular old, plain old, real life should have mental health care. We live in a stressful world. We live in a stressful time. Everybody can have stresses, ups and downs and blah, 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 right? So in one regard, I kind of want to add it to my definition. In another regard, I'm not really sure I want to, because it's not really part of the zebra part. It's part of everyday life. There is actually a part in this workshop that we're going to talk more in depth about mental health. So it's not like I want to ignore it either. I'm saying too much today. But that's my sticking point. So I don't know what your sticking points might be. Tell me how you're thinking through this with me. Tell me what your thoughts are. Tell me what your difficulties are in trying to figure out what kind of zebra are you? So I'm going to put alien zebra right in the middle, because that really talks about the basis of my chronic health conditions. Something that is really, really, really difficult to define. And there are many people working on helping define it. And I joke that it tries to kill me on a weekly basis. It actually does try to kill me on a weekly basis, but I am a very strong zebra. And it's very under control for being such an out of control thing. I'm sure that there are other mast cell activation people out there who understand what in the world I mean by that. But that's the only way I can describe it. For being such an out of control thing, it's pretty under control. I'm doing all right. It is a little difficult in that my body can decide to be mad at the planet, and it throws a temper tantrum and takes me out of commission for days at a time, and then it's just ridiculous. But for the most part, and for a long time now, I haven't needed hospital care for a reaction in a long time. That's really good for me. That's really good. Okay, so the reason I put it right in the middle of the page is because I'm thinking, I wonder if I can just add other words that define what kind of zebra I am. And maybe you can do this too, if you have a hard time just one little definition. If you don't, just get really fancy with your word. Make it really big, or make some designs around it, or whatever you got to do. If you could just say, maybe you have muscular dystrophy, and that's a big one, right? But maybe it's the only one you have. So maybe you can just write it really big, muscular dystrophy. Does that make you a muscle zebra? A muscular dystrophy zebra, a dystrophy zebra. I'm not sure. Maybe you have a certain kind of, I'm not even going to guess. Gosh, my brain is just having trouble today. In any case, whatever you got going on, who knows what you got going on? Name it. Alien zebra. Maybe I have, since I have a depressive disorder, I want to say a dark and light alien zebra, but that kind of implies bipolar, and I am not a bipolar or manic depressive person. I don't have any of the manic stuff, although I've heard it's kind of fun. Okay, it's not kind of fun. But I don't have the extreme highs. I just have the depression. So I don't think that's an accurate thing to say. But I do dwell in the light, even though the darkness tries to take me over. I do dwell in the light. Okay, I'm going to go back to thinking because I just don't seem to have anything in my head that's working. Okay, so I'm going to go back to that very first pair, the great big circle and the little tiny circle, and I'm going to go inside the big circle where the S's join up to it. Don't mind me while I go over my lines. When they get really messy, I just go over them a bunch of times till they all blend. So I'm going to go to where this S starts on the big circle, right, and follow it around and kind of curl it in. And then I'm not going to go in a swirl, but I'm going to put a little teardrop at the end of this curve. Well, now it looks like it came from this S. I guess it doesn't matter. It can. So, and then I'm going to do the same thing in all the other circles, but look at this one's way too little. Can't get one to fit in there, so I'm just going to put a little curl in there. Just a little curl. And then I'll do the same thing here with a little tiny teardrop. Oh my goodness. And here can get a little bigger. Here we can get a nice curve and teardrop shape. Okay, so I am going to color all these in. Not just because the small ones are already kind of colored in, but I intended to anyway. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that right now. Let's color these teardrop shapes in. All right, let's go back to thinking about alien zebrahood, or whatever your kind of zebrahood is. So I wanted to add dark and light to reference depressive disorder and PTSD. PTSD, how would you, what kind of zebra would that be? Like afraid of shadows? And no, not in the joking kind, even though I snicker when I say it. But it is kind of like, it's kind of like the shadows jump out at you, you know? Like you never know where it's going to come from. Like you can just be tootling along, your day's all peachy keen, right? And then a smell or a sound or a person or a reference or a whatever can just come along and trigger stuff. And then you go, oh my God, and you fall apart. That's always fun. So that's what I mean by shadows. Scared of the shadows. I'm actually not scared of the shadows. It's more like startled by the shadows. And then you have to, you know, get over it. There's a difference between being startled and being actually afraid. You know? Okay. There. All of my circles have little swirls in them with little teardrop ends to them. And now I'm going to do the same thing inside and outside the kind of wonky square we have here. And what I mean by that is I'm going to go into every place where there's a little crevice. So here to the inside and here to the outside. Watch what I mean. And I'm going to make some more of these teardrop sort of bits. So I can just curve up and make a teardrop end. Or I can swirl and make a teardrop end. And I can make just two like that. Or I could make one like that. Or you could make a bunch more. Like what if I made two in one direction and the first one in a different direction? What if I made three in that one? Anyways, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to find every little place where a circle meets the S and makes that little crevice right there, and I'm going to fill up the little crevices with squiggle lines or curved lines that have teardrop endings to them, and I'm going to color in those teardrop endings too. All right, so back to the chat about how do you get a further definition of your kind of zebra? Maybe I don't need a further definition. Maybe being an alien zebra is all the definition I need. I just feel like I'm justifying or trying to pretend that the mental health part is less significant than it really is by not adding it in here somehow. And now I wonder if that's just kind of silly because I have other health conditions, right, that I'm not listing. Like sleep apnea, right? And high blood pressure and Hashimoto's. A lot of these things are connected to the other things, the alien zebra-ness. So I'm not talking so much or adding the tertiary sorts of things. I'm just going primary. Maybe the mental health is primary. Who am I kidding? A major depressive disorder and PTSD are worthy of adding to the zebrahood. Now I need a word to add to my alien zebra that adds that in there. And I want to keep it fun. I don't know how you have fun with a depressive disorder and PTSD, but I just want my definition of what kind of zebra I am to stay on the lighter side, because I like to maintain a sense of humor, even if it is a dark sense of humor about these health things that I have to deal with. You make your definition whatever empowers you. So if you need to name it the darkest thing that it really is, do that. If you need to make it funny and light like I do that. If you need to be completely clinical and have it defined in a really scientific medical kind of way, then do that, right? Do it however. Do this practice in defining what kind of zebra you are in whatever way makes it concrete and puts you in a place of power. So for some people, that will be the very darkest thing. Make it as dark as you can so that you understand that it is not your friend, right? That you need to empower yourself against whatever it is. In my case, I like to laugh at it because there's nothing I can do about it. Nothing. And it controls everything in my life right now. So I try to maintain a sense of humor about what the heck is going on from day to day. Not always easy, but calling myself an alien zebra does help me remember. If you are the kind of person who needs to hear that it's scientific, to understand that it is something real and it's beyond your control and you can't do this by yourself and all that kind of stuff that sort of the bigger scientific words can make you feel, then that's really important. Then do that, right? Even look up how to spell them correctly if you don't know, because some of those words are ridiculous, aren't they? But whatever it takes to put you in the place of power and put your brain in the place of power in your definition. So I'm going to go back to drawing some squiggles with teardrops on them while I think of how I'm going to make fun of being depressed and traumatized. Jeez. Oh, sometimes I don't know about me. I am not at all sure I can pull this one off. I am completely sincere that that's exactly what I want to do. I want to be lighthearted about depression and trauma. So I wish that I had asked my psychologist. I have a psychologist that I have seen for years now. And she, goodness sakes, she's a hoot. And she's been fabulous. By the way, a word to the wise for anybody who has tried to look for mental health care and has not been successful. Keep looking. It is entirely true that in order for mental health care to work for you, you have to find the person and the method that will work for you. It takes a lot of persistence. Be your own self-advocate. Be an always learner. Stuff we've talked about before in this workshop, but super duper duper important. Especially in the mental health department, to find a person that you can work with. In any case, Liz is her name. I suppose I shouldn't have said that, but that's all I'm going to say, is that her name is Liz. And she also has a very dark sense of humor and is able to laugh at things that maybe you shouldn't really laugh at, you know? But, gosh, it makes it fun for me. Because I can be just as ridiculous. I can be really honest about how ridiculous I think about things. And I just love being able to be that and say things to her that are just ridiculous. Maybe I'm going to leave the Alien Zebra page alone right now. And maybe I'm going to further my definition after I talk to her. And maybe talking through it, we can come up with some terms that would work on how to have a sense of humor about depression and trauma. Also, if you're watching this or going through this with me or whatever the case may be, if you have some ideas, don't worry that you're going to offend me, right? Don't worry that you're going to offend me, at least in this regard, right? If you want to help me figure out how I can have fun with depression and trauma in defining my alien zebra-ness, Go ahead and put some thoughts in the comments, and I will know that you are employing dark humor, and maybe I will adopt some of your ideas. I will know that you're not being mean, right? Because I just trust that people who are going to be mean aren't going to bother trying to be mean to me. I don't know why I think that. I mean, it is the internet after all, but I just assume that if you're going to take the time to write some stuff down, you're employing a dark sense of humor and you're trying to help me out. So I'm going to keep going with this all the way around. And then we're going to test out a new pen I have before I leave today. I'll show you what I mean in just a second here, because I think I'm getting close. Well, okay, I was going to say I'm getting close to all the way around, but I'm only about halfway. I'll go faster. I'll go faster. Oh, little tiny ones there. Holy buckets, man. I should just pull one right out of there. And then what am I going to do here? I'm going to go around, I guess. It's a little crazy how much each week that we've done this so far, actually doing this Zentangle practice has actually helped me get my brain in to what we're doing. I kind of thought it would, right? It's why I chose to do this in the first place, but I wasn't totally sure, and I certainly didn't know how much it would help. But I always have like an excuse to do something artsy. So I made up an excuse in that I thought, oh, this will help. This will help while we're chatting. This will help my brain. And it did. Oh, I love that. I love when a plan works out. You'll notice that I'm turning my book. I think I've mentioned before too that if you need to turn your page, you go ahead and do that. Something that I learned through a Zentangle is that the page can be moved. Ha! How silly does that sound? But I did, when they mentioned it, I did sort of think about it. And I thought about drawing ever since I was a kid, right? And I would just hold the page in one position and I would try to draw from that one position, regardless of what direction my lines needed to go or what angle I was trying to come from. I left the page in one spot. You know what? That's just silly. It's just plain silly. Move the page. It was like a light bulb to me. What do you mean move the page? You can't be doing that stuff. Move the page. Well, yeah, you sure can. You sure can. Move the page. It was the most ridiculous moment of aha I ever had, I think. It's like, well, duh. You know, I remember when people said duh for the very first time to me. Elementary school, right? I didn't know what it meant at all. I couldn't figure out why people were making this weird sound. What are you doing? What is that supposed to mean? Oh, it was kind of hilarious. obviously they were making fun of me for not knowing something. And sometimes I think they were being mean, claiming that I'm stupid or something. Truth of the matter is, I just figured they were stupid. Like, why are you making such a ridiculous noise? I was kind of out of the loop as a kid. Never really understood what was going on in the world of other people. All right. I am now just going over my S's because they do not stand out particularly well in all of this chaos. And in some ways, I think I'm just making a bigger mess. I think we got a good foothold in our workshop, in this workshop so far. We have talked about our earlier experiences, defined what kind of zebra we are today, right? And then what else did we do? Now I can't think because I'm busy copying S's. Said where, put a concrete hold on where we're at this particular moment, and said kind of who we are, which will become important in some later exercises. The who we are part is very necessary for some later questions. But I think we have a really good foothold on zebra-ness so far. And remember, the whole idea of this whole practice is to get our feet on the ground about what it means to live with chronic illness. And maybe you already are on your, maybe you already have your feet on the ground as far as chronic illness goes, but I can't help but think that it is just a constant ongoing process. And that this practice that I'm doing right now, I'm probably going to want to do again. And then after that, I'll probably want to do it again. Because there's always going to be a new reality with living with this stuff, as far as I know. And hopefully that helps other people coming up in the ranks and learning new things about their own stuff. Okay, so before we head out, I have a new marker, and we're going to try it out super quick here. If I can get the cover off super quick. So it's a Sharpie. You remember the tragedy we had with Sharpies last week. You think I learned my lesson. Anyway, it's a paint pen. And I have a love-hate relationship with paint pens. And I wanted an ultra fine tip. Apparently they didn't have any, so they sent me a medium tip. So already I'm thinking this isn't going to go the way I want it to. I'll have to try again or look for the ultra fine tip, right? And I have other white paint pens. I just haven't found any that I like. And I have white gel pens too, but they don't work as well as I'd like. Yeah, this is going to be way too fat. The ultra fine tip is what I really wanted. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to put a little dot in each circle. Here, come in even closer. Oh, that's all the closer I can get. I always forget that this cord is, that's all there is. So I'm just going to put a little dot inside. Okay, that's a bit ridiculous. I'm just putting a dot of shine inside each little thingy. But since it's not ultra fine tip, some of these are going to be awfully hard to get a dot in them. I wanted ultra fine so I could put like a little, you know, like one of those little lines of reflection in teardrops and orbs and stuff. Oh, it's sinking in too. See how much it's sunk in? So just a little dot of highlight in all of these spots. Oh, I'm getting pretty little. Oh, that one's not even in this teardrop. Neither is that one. Getting sloppy with my white spots, guys. Okay, we're almost done. All right, we're going to leave it at that. There's our Zentangle for today, and this is all I got done on this whole page. Just alien zebra, and I left it at that. I need some input. I need some feedback from you or from, you know, somewhere along the line. I'm going to learn how to fit in that other piece for myself. Let me know what kind of zebra you ended up being and how you ended up defining that. And if you need any help defining your zebra-ness, tell me what your story is, and I'll see if I can help you figure out what you should call yourself. Also, tell me what frame of mind you want it in. Serious, scientific, funny, dark humor, angry, whatever frame of mind you want. I'll try to remember that so that I'm not sending back things that you're not looking for. In any case, thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for listening to me ramble. I hope that my rambling helps your brain get where it needs to be faster than mine obviously does. And I'll see you next week. What are we going to talk about next week? We're going to talk about really important specifics about when we leave ourselves and get out in the world. That's important. See you next week.